Jatan, so let's go ahead with your mock for your upcoming interview at NITIE for PGDIE and PGDSM, right? And you're from which background, mechanical or
yes,
civil?
Sir. Mechanical engineering.
Okay, you're from mechanical engineering background. So, okay, please go ahead and introduce yourself briefly to us.
Good evening, sir. My name is Jatan Thakur. I belong to a small town, Una, of Gujarat, situated in the West region. Since my childhood, I was very interested with the machines, especially power producing machines. And this very interest of mine led me pursue mechanical engineering from the Maharaja Sayajar University of Baroda. Being gold medalist, I would like to mention it as one of my achievements. I did my summer internship in the Research and Development Department of CEAT TIAS, a prominent industry of RPG group. My final year project was to increase the coefficient of performance of our existing air conditioning system. I was a part of training and placement center during my final year. During the final year of placement drive, I got placed in Reliance Industries Limited. I worked there in the operations and the maintenance department of captive power plant for 2.5 years. And recently I switched to L&T Technology Services in the month of January 2022. If I talk about my personal interest, I like to write and read poetry. It really helps me be more creative and helps me think structurally. So this was a brief introduction of mine.
Okay. So Jatan, you are working right now, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have worked with Reliance India Limited, and then you are in operation and maintenance department.
Yes, sir.
And right now you are saying that you have switched over to another company.
Yes,
right?
Sir.
So in which area you are working over there? What is the name of the company?
L&T Technology Services, one of the group of L&T Limited.
Okay, so what is it into?
The major role of L&T Technology Services is to provide technical services to the major clients who works in relation to the L&T group. I work. Yes, sir.
It is as a consultancy company.
Yeah, we can say so.
And so, what is the role over there?
Sir, I worked in the verticals of one of the verticals called digital manufacturing services, and my business unit is integrated management services. So basically my role lies between like document and database controller, which works with the project information management department.
So can you just make it a little simple for us to understand?
Yes, sir.
About this role, what you actually do in this role?
Okay. Say for example, like I work for like L&T as a whole, work for different companies. For example, ExxonMobil, Shell, Chevron. So I work for the ExxonMobil. Now what happens? ExxonMobil has different kind of projects across the entire globe. So for example, ExxonMobil is commissioning projects related to that. So starting from the project to the end of the project, we know that different kind of documents and database and everything got involved. Now the ExxonMobil won't be able to have all kind of arrangements to have track of the project documents, to have the data validation of their documents, to validate those data and to store those data. And the company for which the ExxonMobil is commissioning the project, neither that company have those kind of accessibility to all this data and to manage everything. So we L&T as a third party do such kind of job. We build a bridge between our client and our vendor, and we facilitate this entire project information management to them.
So basically it is a project information management.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in Reliance India Limited, what was your role specifically?
Sir, I was deputed in the captive power plant of the Reliance refinery at the Jamnagar. So first phase of 1.5 years, I was involved with the plant operations department, where I used to look after all the operations related activities of the entire power plant. And later I got promoted to the plant maintenance department, where I was working with the project planning and execution team along with the inventory management. And I was in charge of one of the major equipments of our captive power plant, which was gas turbine. So that was my job responsibilities at the Reliance.
Okay. So now, Jatan, why you are thinking of this NITIE? Because right now, I hope you are enjoying your job right now and the profile that you have, right? So why NITIE and why not some other kind of course, for example, let's say MBA or such kind of course, maybe IIMs or something. So why specifically NITIE? You thought of NITIE?
Sir, during my time at the industry, one thing I have realized that how I handled things and how my manager did. So there was a fine difference between the way he used to take the decisions. He was very decisive and more clearer with his decisions. As I mentioned, that being an in charge of one of the major equipments that we call as a gas turbine, so I had this opportunity to meet and interact with the operation executives and the technicians and the technical engineers of the major original manufacturers like General Electric and Thermax and like that. So by interacting with them, I realized that in today's competitive world, it is not sufficient to have only technical expertise. You have to have industrial skills if you want to climb the corporate hierarchy. Moreover, that I thought that it is not wise enough to stay confined to a single domain. You have to have a holistic view of how business works. You have to have in-depth knowledge of all the departments of the business. Then only you will be in a position to take better decisions, to make proper strategies. And to be able to more contribute to the organization you would be working for. Sir, at NITIE, the dynamic curriculum and the rigorous training that would help me to be industry ready. The peer learnings, the strong alumni network and industry institute connection will definitely help me launch my career. As my past experience, sir, also aligned with the operations domain that I was working with the operations department of Reliance. So my career goals are definitely aligning with the course curriculum of the NITIE, and that is why I decided to go with the NITIE and not with the other business institutes like IIM and everything.
But you are saying that, okay, you need to have a holistic view of other business operations also to contribute in a significant way to the organization. At the same time, you are saying that, okay, to go to the up in the ladder of that hierarchy, you need to have a exposure to the wider areas of that industrial setup.
Yes, sir.
So I think that kind of exposure you can get in the MBA program also.
But sir, yes, sir. Definitely, I would get to know everything about the business, but I won't be able to contribute to the technological part. I do not want to lose the touch over my engineering principles. I want to bring that knowledge into this field, and that is the only way that NITIE could provide. The NITIE would provide us a platform from where we would be in a position to collaborate our technical skills, the engineering skills, along with the industrial skills, and that would be not the case with the other management schools.
So what is industrial engineering?
Sir, industrial engineering is a branch of engineering which majorly deals with the optimization of your processes by incorporating the various operation research techniques. It helps us to reduce our processing cost. It helps us to optimize our resources in order to meet the quality, safety, and economic targets of any organization.
So how it is different from operations management?
So operations management basically deals with, say, for example, we are producing a particular type of a product. Now, various kind of activities will be involved in producing that particular product. So operations management will definitely inculcate all those aspects of optimizing and everything, but it will be working from a management philosophy. It would not inculcate or it would not implement all kind of engineering principles into it. While the industrial engineering does that job, and that is where the industrial engineering and the operation management do differ.
So let's say in the present job, let's say, if you have to make use of industrial engineering, what it would be and how it is going to make a difference to the current profile? Yes. Sir, as I have told that we majorly deals with the transfer of the document part, the availability of the document, data validation, and everything. So if I say that it takes a lot of time and lot of effort to validate each and entire data, each and entire file, and get to deliver from one end to the other hand.
Now, if I bring some kind of tools into my system, for example, at the beginning of our L&T services, we didn't have any kind of tool, but later on, the engineers started facing some difficulties with it. The time taken for engineers to go through the entire data and to validate them was much longer. And we developed a tool called which helped us to reduce our time and work effectively, so that in meantime we could also contribute to the other segments of a business. And that is where I think the industrial engineering comes into the picture, to optimize your resources, to reduce the time to get the job done.
And what if I asked you about your previous job? How could you have contributed over there through the use of industrial engineering?
So there were many examples. One of the finest example that Reliance has incorporated since its inception was written in their HSE policy. It says that the safety of a human overrides all the production targets. So the prime focus of entire Reliance refinery is to maintain the safety and environmental health, no matter what your production target says. Now, you cannot focus entirely on the safety part, and like without that, without having proper prospect of growing economically, you can't survive, you can't run the entire refinery of our country. So that is where the industrial engineering comes into the picture. They have systemized their entire power plant, refinery and other segments processes in such a way that by using the highest quality, highest technology in such a way that the effective time got reduced, the money involved got reduced, the safety has improved, and quality is not compromised. You look any department at the Reliance, you will see such kind of qualities. And I think that is the best example that I have seen, the incorporation and inculcation of the entire industrial engineering into a particular domain.
No, so when you were in plant operations, right? So my question is, one is that already there is a existing processes which are working over there. What as an individual you saw that, okay, this is where I can contribute, or this is where we need to have the improvement, and I can use the concepts of industrial engineering?
Sir, when I was in operations department, I noticed that the maintenance department is like struggling with the project planning segment, as they weren't having enough personals. So when I shifted to the plant maintenance department, the very first thing that I did was micro plan everything, and that is where I think I have utilized my knowledge of industrial engineering. So if you do your planning properly, you would ultimately avoid all such kind of lead times, delay and everything, and you would be in a better position to calculate your critical path. You would be in a better position to complete your project with whatever resources you have in your hand. Effective inventory control would be definitely a great deal if you are working with such kind of a refinery, and that is where I think I have used these industrial engineering concepts.
Okay, so okay, Jatan, so we'll provide you feedback at the end. Now over to Vishal, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. So, Jatan, you are going for NITIE Mumbai.
Yes, sir.
Jatan, you mentioned about some project related to COP improvement in an existing AC system. So, tell us brief about that. Like, what kind of air conditioning system you have used and how you improved the COP.
Sir, the air conditioning system that our laboratory had was a kind of a conventional air conditioning system that we generally do not see at anywhere. Like, it was built up in-house. So it was differed from our window AC and our split AC. The compressor, the condenser and your thermocouple and everything would be entirely placed in a single major room. And it was way back installed, like in 1990s. So now what a problem was that the condenser in the peak summer time used to get tripped on a higher pressure. And say, for example, pressure reaches to some kind of a value, it got tripped. And we would not be in a position to run it on a peak summer days. And that was the case in front of us, and we wanted to solve it. So we incorporated what we call as a evaporative cooling by spraying the water droplets to the air passing over the condenser. it will actually help condenser to discharge or to throw the heat to the surrounding at a very lesser temperature. Ultimately, the pressure will get reduced, the temperature won't get tripped. Now, if you are utilizing water droplets at the condenser side, ultimately it will help you to reject your heat at a better place, and that ultimately leads us to the betterment of coefficient of performance.
Jatan, that's fine. Means, but these things actually, even if you will check any kind of standard textbook, easily you will find this. So, what new work you carried out in that research? Because I cannot say that there is something new in that.
Yes, I believe that
Work which you carried out. Obviously, if you are maintaining the condenser temperature lower, obviously it will result in the increase in the COP. And some very basic thing you have used, like you sprayed some kind of water or water droplet. So what new work you carried out with that? What is your contribution in that research, Chana?
Sir, yes, I believe that many works have been done on this particular evaporative technologies and how to increase the COP. I believe that. But what our aim was not to do something significant. Rather, what our main aim was to reorganize the system that we had, such that our laboratory do have such kind of a useful setup, so that our professor, especially the air conditioning unit, was for our professor. And we wanted to modify that system without having major changes in their equipments. So we didn't replace the compressor, we didn't replace the condenser, even if they were too old. But we modified, we redesigned the system in such a way that the condenser didn't trip even at the highest temperature. It went around 44 degrees in the peak summer of Vadodara, Gujarat. So it worked there.
So how much improvement in COP you have improved? Like how much COP you have improved?
Sir, earlier it was around 2.1, and later we get it. We managed to have it around 2.8 to 3.1, ranging between 2.8 to 3.1.
Okay. Okay. So how much is the tonnage of that refrigerant, that air conditioning system?
Sir, it was of 2 ton.
2-ton refrigerator system, air conditioning system.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me ask you some basic questions from refrigeration, Jadan. Jadan, can you tell me what is effective temperature? What is effective temperature?
So can you repeat?
You heard about effective temperature?
You mean to ask the mean temperature of like heat addition or heat rejection?
Okay, I'm asking actually in context of comfort conditioning.
Okay.
It's about somewhere effective temperature to maintain the comfort condition in a particular region.
Yes, sir, I've heard about it. So it is the temperature where human finds comfort. For example, we are mainly using our air conditioning system for our comfort reason, the comfort purpose. And the effective temperature is the temperature at which we would find comfort in our premises. So it would vary between 23 degrees centigrade to 27 degrees centigrade.
Assign you a work to design some kind of VCRS system, vapor compression refrigeration system. So from where you will start?
The very first thing that I would be starting with, what is the capacity? Like how much amount of heat do I have to extract from the system? And that is from where I would be able to have the capacity idea of the compressor, and then only I will move forward.
Suppose we want 5-ton refrigerator system. Then we want 5-ton system. Then what will be your next step? How you will choose the refrigerant?
Say for example, we have, as you have mentioned, that we want to go for 5 ton of refrigeration system. So the effective heat extracting capacity would be 5 times 3.5. So we would try to find out a refrigerant whose heat capacity would lie in such range, such that with the bare minimum amount of mass flow rate, we would able to extract the heat from that. Because if the refrigerant has a lesser amount of heat capacity, it would ultimately lead us to higher amount of area in order to get extracted heat from our surrounding.
Let me give you some hint. Like suppose we want 5-ton refrigerator system, and at the same time we want evaporator temperature -5. Okay, and the condenser temperature is 35 degrees Celsius, because that is actually limited with the due to the atmospheric condition. So these are the constraint: evaporator temperature -5, the condenser temperature 35, and we want 5-ton refrigeration system. So how you will choose the compressor, the refrigerant?
Sorry, sir, I do not have in-depth idea about how to decide such kind of factors.
Okay, fine. You heard about cascade system, Jatin? Cascading refrigeration system. What is this?
In the simplest word, I could say that arranging your refrigeration system in a series manner. So extraction of a heat from a single source would be going to the refrigeration unit. Then the refrigeration unit would be interacting with the another sink. That sink would use to serve as a source for the another refrigeration system. So the 2-3 refrigerators would be connected in a series. Such kind of arrangement is called as a cascaded refrigeration system.
Where we use this cascade refrigeration system?
Sorry, sir, I do not have any idea about its application.
Fine. So my last question from the refrigeration part, can you tell us something about the throttling process, Jatin? What is throttling?
Sir, throttling mainly tells us that like throttling in the simplest word, we can say that is isenthalpic process. So your enthalpy remains constant. If it is ideal gas, your temperature would definitely be constant. If it is not ideal gas, your temperature and the pressure will change according to at what position in your isenthalpic graph you are lying. If you are lying on the left side of your inversion temperature or on the right side of the inversion temperature, the things would be changed.
And in VCRS, we carry out the throttling of liquids.
Yes, sir.
So how the temperature decreases? Liquids ka, when we are carrying out the throttling, how the temperature of refrigerant decreases?
Sir, ultimately pressure gets decreased. So in the throttling device, like we feed the liquid into throttling device, and the throttling device does the part of reducing the pressure. And upon reducing the pressure, the temperature is the result of like changing the pressure. It's not the cause of the changing the pressure.
Okay, so you worked in some capacity power plant also, Jatin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you tell me something about the load factor? What is load factor of a power plant?
Sir, I'm not able to recollect it right now.
Okay. Can you tell me the difference between a base load plant and peak load plant?
Yes, sir. So the base load plant suggests that, say for example, we have a gas turbine, and installed capacity of the gas turbine is, say for example, 30 megawatt. Now if you are testing your gas turbine, say for example in a winter condition, so at what maximum capacity of output you can bring your system to produce a specific amount of power, that is called as a base load. Now base load output. Now if you are rising the output, you are rising the power producing process above the base load, and up to which load the machine could deliver the output, that is termed as the peak load.
You heard about topping cycle and bottoming cycle, combined cycle power plant. So can you tell me the basic difference between topping cycle and bottoming cycle?
No, sir, I haven't about topping cycle as such.
Okay. You heard about supercritical Rankine cycle?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
So the word supercritical, like the word Rankine cycle, suggests that it is the cycle incorporating the cycle which helps us to convert water into the steam. Now, when the supercritical word is associated with the Rankine cycle, it suggests that we do not have to provide latent heat to the water in order to get it converted into the steam, because pressure is such a high at the range of 222 Pascal, the water would directly getting converted into the steam, and that is where the supercritical comes into the picture.
Jatin, my last question is to you. Jatin, what is industrial engineering, and what do you feel? What are the important role responsibilities of an industrial engineer, and up to what extent you carry those kind of skills?
Sir, I would start with the first question. the definition of industrial engineering.
Mhm.
So industrial engineering is one of the branch of engineering which mainly deals with the process optimization, reducing the cost and effective utilization of our resources in such a way that we could meet our production targets by maintaining the safety and the health requirements of our environment and the plant personals without making compromises with your quality and the customer satisfactions. Now, when we talk about the roles and responsibilities of industrial engineer, it mainly incorporates that how dynamic the industrial engineer is to incorporate all the energy engineering principles into the real life problem. When we have to work with a limited amount of resources, it is the duty of industrial engineering to optimize the every process, to have proper work study, to proper time study, to better inventory control, better production and planning schedules. All kind of activities will be majorly planned and executed by the industrial engineering. So they provide such kind of a roadmap to the execution department. And if I talk about the skills that I possess, then yes, sir, some of the qualities I definitely possess and I have practiced those qualities, as I mentioned in one of my previous answers, that when I was in plant operations department, I used to look after plant reliability and the sustainability part, which are the major two prominent verticals of any industrial engineering or the operations part. While I was in the maintenance department, I was looking after project planning and project execution by maintaining the maintenance activities. So such kind of technical skills along with interpersonal skills, professional communication, such kind of skills which we name as industrial skills, I do possess. And yes, there are certain kind of skills that I need to hone further.
Okay, Jatan, I think now we can provide you the feedback.
Yes, sir.
Jatan, overall it's looking fine. You are looking confident. Your energy is also looking fine. Slightly higher pitch you are using, but so it's if it is natural, then yes, keep it like that. There is no such
हाँ
problem.
सर वो थोड़ा हो रहा है like.
हाँ, but थोड़ा सा excited है आप, थोड़ा सा excited लग रहे हैं. It's good also like because it is showing your energy level, but थोड़ा सा उसको normal रखना है. Don't be that much high. Okay, so it should reflect like yes, you are highly interested in that area. You are you need to show your energy also, but at the same time it will look normal, so that the person who is listening to you that will be comfortable for him also. Okay, all it's fine. Means we are getting that idea. Yes, you are highly interested in that course, and that you need to reflect also. So I asked you some question from your some experience, some project you mentioned. Like the COP you improved. Okay, so although yes, you mentioned yes, there was nothing new in that, but yes, as a kind of how you need to justify, Jadan, sir, at B.Tech level we got some kind of opportunity to improve such kind of system. So practically, actually at B.Tech level only we discussed about some kind of theoretical discussion. Theoretical discussion we had for RAC while studying that particular subject, but sir, through that system, through that experimentation, we practically analyzed how like different factors those can be integrated, and what are the different role of those components, and how further we can improve their workings. So that thing actually we learned through that project. Yes, sir, we understand there's nothing new in that, but yes, we learned a lot about that. Like we learned about the teamwork, and yes, how we can actually integrate it with some kind of industrial developments. वो आपको उसको उस तरह से justify करना था. बाकी ठीक है, you answered, that was also right. So COP you improved using some kind of evaporative cooling, some kind of evaporative cooler you have used in case of air condenser. So you replaced air condenser with some kind of evaporative condenser. So I asked some question from that, throttling, and then so any system, is refrigeration or AC system, if you want to design, we need to start with the tonnage capacity, how much is the load, what temperature you want to maintain, like that is also based on the application. Means sir, okay, you mentioned the tonnage, but what we want, like we want to cool the water, we want to freeze some kind of some kind of items at sub-zero temperature, means minus per temperature karna hai. So that is going to fix the evaporator temperature. After that, the condenser temperature is limited due to the atmospheric condition, and if you know the evaporator temperature, then at that evaporator temperature, what we want to boil the refrigerant. So we need to choose the refrigerant which will have that particular temperature, evaporator temperature, which will be able to maintain the saturation pressure, because both are relative. Saturation pressure and the
Condenser
temperature.
Yes.
So we need to choose a refrigerant accordingly, which will be able to boil at that evaporator temperature and which will be able to condense at that condenser temperature.
range.
But between that, we will go with a refrigerant which will have a lower condenser pressure. Evaporator pressure is fine, but the refrigerant which will have lower condenser pressure, because if a refrigerant is having like it will be able to condense at suppose 35 degrees Celsius, but it requires very high condenser pressure. So if it requires very high condenser pressure, you need to attach a compressor and you need to give very high work input. Okay, so based on that, these are the factors based on which we will choose the refrigerant for that system. Are you getting idea? Some basic idea you are getting, Jatan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so these are the things which you need to mention, like the temperature, the refrigerant, and then yes, some further mass flow rate, all those things are also there. How you will maintain those mass flow rates. So throttling you answered. What is throttling? I asked you. In case of VCRS, we carry out throttling with some kind of flushing of liquid into vapor. So when we carry out throttling, some liquid due to the pressure drop converts into vapor. And when small liquid converts into vapor, it takes the heat, latent heat, from its neighboring fluid particle. So that's why the small liquids convert into vapor, but at the same time, the remaining liquid, there is a drop in temperature. So what you need to say, sir, in VCRS, actually, we carry out the throttling associated with the flushing of some part of the refrigerant. Okay. Again, pressure कैसे drop करता है? They can ask you some basic things about that also, because I think you studied about some kind of friction, okay, in between the
particles of the
throttling device,
yes.
and due to that friction only there is a pressure drop take place. Load factor is a very important factor for a power plant. It is the average load on a plant to the maximum load on a plant. Okay, it tells us about the utilization of a plant.
पता था लेकिन confidence नहीं था, इसलिए मैं बोला नहीं वो.
Okay, not a problem. Base load का मतलब क्या होता है? Jatan, the load which will be always there on the plant. The load which will be always there. Like suppose you are running a power plant, तो कुछ ना कुछ load उसके ऊपर हर time रहेगा. So that is known as base load. The load which is there on a plant for a very small duration of time, that is known as peak load. So the thermal power station, hydro power station, these are known as base load plant, because they run actually the entire day, 24 hours they run. Okay, so these type of plants are known as base load plant. But the plants like the IC engine, diesel engine power plant, the gas turbine power plant, okay, these type of power plants are known as peak load plants. So you are going to turn on these kind of plants if there is an increase in load. Otherwise, you will turn off, because these plants are very easy to start and shut down.
Yes.
Okay, but they are very easy to start, shut down, but their economy is not that much good. Okay, so that's why these are known as peak load plant. Base load plant के लिए criteria क्या होता है? Their economy is required to be very good. Means the power production cost is required to be very lower. Okay, because they need to run entire day. Okay, but yes obviously they are having their own disadvantages. They take much time to start and shut down. Okay, so I think overall it's fine, Jatan. You are looking highly interested in that domain, so overall I am happy with your performance. Okay,
sir, can I ask one question?
Yes.
सर, जब मैं बोल रहा था इंग्लिश, मुझे काफी बार ये फीडबैक मिला है कि आई रश टू द थिंग्स, लाइक मैं थोड़ा पोज नहीं ले रहा हूँ, मेरा स्पीड बहुत बढ़ रहा है. ये था सर?
That I also mentioned, Jatan. Initially I mentioned कि your pitch is high and you're looking like energetic. It is your natural way. Keep it like that. Then don't worry about this. अगर आपका natural, then obviously
सर उनका वो मतलब वो शॉर्ट कमिंग की तरह तो उन्हें नहीं गिना जाएगा ना, क्योंकि सर आई हैव ट्राइड इनफ, आई ट्राइड टू बी कॉन्शियस इनफ, लेकिन वो नहीं हो रहा सर मुझसे.
That is actually your natural way. That's why I mentioned, Jatan, if it is natural way, then yes, keep it like that. Don't worry. Okay, but yes, it will be good if you will slightly slow down your pace, because the person who is listening to you, he will be easily able to understand you. Are you getting, Jatan? So yes, I mentioned very clearly, yes, you are highlighting, and yes, I am getting that idea that you are highly interested, highly excited actually. Okay, and that is a natural interest. Okay, and that is required also at most of the time. But at the same time, it will be good if you will slightly slow up your pace, so that the person who is listening to you, will be able to understand. So yes, it is good. It will be good actually if you will take some time to recall and slowly if you will speak. Okay, yes, you will be able to add some more things in that case. So that will improve your effectiveness further. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jatan. Good luck and keep preparing.
Sir, how would you rate out of 10?
There is no such marks required, but it's good.
No, sir. I am asking.
It's good. Yes, I will give you good marks, na? But I'm not actually interested in exact marks, 9, 8, or 10. But yes, I will consider you. I will consider your candidature and I will give you the chance.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your time.
Okay.
Okay, so Jatan, so let me just give you the feedback now.
Ji sir.
So even a few things have been mentioned already by Vishal sir also. So I think only it's a kind of repetition only. Overall, it's good, right? In the sense ki, since you have the experience and practical exposure in the domain, so you're able to relate those things, right? So only thing could be that they could give you the practical situation where you need to think for a while and then answer.
Answer.
I think one such situation that I gave you was related to industrial engineering use in the present profile. They would like to relate the thing. So you need to think for that and you need to apply over there. For example, they could be random questions. You can think of something of sort of that, then you can just, because since you still have time, so you can just ponder upon it, right? Rest, I think, is fine. You're able to relate it and explain it well. So I don't have much to give you the feedback. Rest part related to your like kind of pitch and presentation part, I think will be okay. Kind of reason being that when you have some particular certain style of speaking or responding to, even though pitch is high, but I think we cannot do much with this. Because if you will start slowing down consciously, then it may happen that words will not come out so smoothly. Right? For example, sometimes what happens is when you are explaining the things with some people, that the flow comes so easily, words come so easily. So maybe they can speak the same thing at lower pitch very fluently. But if you have to, if we consider the other case, then like if I say the case like yours, so what I think is that it's a kind of since you have to explain the things, and for you to explain the things, you have to take out the things or the words or the relation properly. So I think you need energy, and therefore in that process, that overall pitch goes up. So if you will not do that, then I think it will hamper your delivery style. That means words will not come out properly, or maybe something. So I think go with that. There is nothing wrong in that, right? Overall, if you are able to present the things well, relate the things well, that will matter at the end of the day. But I think at this stage, even if we will suggest you to be a little bit slow down, whether it will happen or not, that is because normally it is not going to happen so easily.
Yes, I have been practicing with all of my mocks, but if I stay conscious enough, then I would be able to deliver in such a way, but that is not the natural flow the way I am speaking.
Maintain your natural flow. But even with that, whatever I have discussed and you explained, I could not find anything that okay, it is wrong with something with your fluency or something. It was okay. So
sir,
I think
उनको सर नेगेटिव तरीके से तो नहीं लिया जाएगा ना?
Why they should take it negative? Negative will be when you are not able to relate the things. You are not able to relate the things. If you can relate the things well, I think, and that too you are having good experience, so I think you will have good chances of getting into. Okay. Okay, sir. Okay, Jatan. So all the best. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now we can exit.
Thank you for your time.